Alright guys, so this is it. The third and final installment of the trilogy of me redoing the outside of my Nook store. And basically this is a part where I have to start going through my pockets and come to, once again, the sad realization that I have no furniture. But luckily, I remembered to send myself a whole bunch of furniture in the mail, and also had some friends send me some stuff that I did not have in my, the Nook exchange for the Nook Miles tickets. I find that a lot of the stuff that's offered there has really odd colors, and I have friends that have like things like the phone booths or like the snack machines in colors that are far more like aesthetically pleasing. So luckily they were able to send me some stuff. So I am going to run back home at the same speed as like Usain Bolt, because I am an Animal Crossing Olympian, and I'm just going to take all of the, oh fucking peaches, dude. Pedo TARDIS. Of course. So Peaches keeps sending me mail, and I don't know why. I ignore her, I avoid her like the plague, and she's still sending me mail. Like, she still acknowledges my existence, and I'm like, please stop. Please stop. Please, like, I want nothing to do with you. I don't reply to you. I don't acknowledge you, but here you are, still writing me letters. Which kind of reminds me, I recently had a friend ask me, like, oh, like, maybe you should start putting your face in your videos so people can see you. And I was like, man, I don't want to put my face out there. Like, I don't post pictures of myself on Facebook. I don't have an Instagram. I don't post pictures of myself publicly. And even on, like, Snapchat, when I send pictures to people, it's like one person, maybe a couple, very few select people. I don't post anything publicly. And it's because every time I do, weird people from my past try to like wiggle their way back into my life. Like, for example, I went out to dinner with one of my friends, and he posted a picture of us having dinner, and he posted to his Snapchat. And almost immediately after, there was a message from someone that him and I were once friends with, and it was basically saying, like, oh, it's Krista in the picture, like, how is she? Does she have a Snapchat? And my buddy, like a real bro, replied back, like, yep, that's her. She's doing good. It doesn't give away my personal information. Love that man. But, yeah, it gets really weird because the next day, I get a text from a number, just a random number. I don't have them saved on my phone. And the text is just my name. Absolutely freaking creepy. So I take a screenshot of the phone number and the message and everything, and I start asking around my friends. I'm like, hey, does anyone have this phone number? Because this person just texted me my name. And no one knew who it was. So it got to the point where I had to ask one of my friends to essentially do like a star 69 kind of thing where you like disguise your phone number. Call the number, and basically what they did was they called, asked for someone named Debbie, and as soon as I heard the voice of the person reply back to them, I knew for a fact that it was the guy who was asking for like my Snapchat, asking my buddy about me and everything. And I was so creeped out that this guy had kept my number since 2006 or so. That's when I had that phone number, and I was absolutely fucking creeped out because I have not talked to this guy in like 8 years. 8 years. And like him and I used to be friends, but things happen. I don't want to talk to him. I don't want to, like Peaches, much like Peaches, I do not want to have anything to do with this man. I avoid him like the plague, and yet he still messages me, still acknowledges my existence, and I want nothing to do with him. like, if you go through all the messages, like, this guy is just like, oh, hey, Krista, hey, how are you? And, like, my buddy and I that I was having dinner with, like, we don't really want to chill with that guy anymore. But yeah, he is, like, my real life Peaches. And that's also, like, moral of the story, I don't want to be putting my face out there just because I'm afraid of, like, people trying to hunt me down again, you know what I'm saying? They don't need to know. They don't need to know that's me behind this microphone and Animal Crossing gameplay. And fun fact too, like, the guy's voice is so distinct that even my friend that was called him looking for a Debbie was like, yeah, no, that was quite the odd sounding voice. And it got really freaking, like, sketchy at the end of it too, because my friend was like, oh shit, like, the guy called me back. And I'm like, oh fuck. But luckily they didn't, like, leave a message or anything, so hopefully it was like a butt dial. But I'd be, like, horrified if they tried, like, hunting down my friend, realizing that, like, perhaps we were trying to figure out, like, I was affiliated with the whole call looking for Debbie. But back to the gameplay. So if anyone hasn't caught on yet, the Petal of Antarctis is actually a white phone booth, which, you know what, it looks pretty good there. Like I mentioned, the stuff that I can get when I exchange my Nook Miles tickets, the phone booth that's my option is, like, this gross, like, school bus yellow color, and it doesn't look nice. And I think, like, the sad part is too is that I started liking the outside touches that I was putting, like, way more than the stuff that I was putting inside the fence enclosure. Like, the outside looks kind of, like, sweet, and, like, once I redo that path, it's gonna look so good. But on the inside, I'm just kind of like, I can't tell what it is. Either it's because I don't have the materials I need to make the DIYs that I want, or I just simply just don't have access to anything to make it look, like, really, like, full in depth, kind of, like, more, you know what I mean? Like, you ever seen those videos or pictures of people's islands where there's so much stuff going on and it really adds to the whole theme that they were trying to pull off? I don't know, there's something about it where I just feel like I'm not really achieving that as much. So it's definitely going to be one of those things where over time I'm going to find little items here and there and just start throwing them in to give, like, the full picture. But at least at, like, the end of this, I'm going to have, like, a general idea or, like, a general look that I'm going for. Ugh. And I swear to God, once I get rid of all these flowers, it's over for this bitch. Like, it's a lot of work. It's going to be a lot of work to get rid of everything and finally put down, like, a more usable, accessible path. But for now, we're working on the Nook store because that whole path is going to be a whole other journey that I'm not mentally prepared for. And I think, like, the one key building material that I'm really missing to make, like, the DIYs that I want to add in is trash. Like, garbage. Like the tires and the cans and everything. I don't know what it is, but at one point in the game, I just stopped getting trash from the rivers. I just stopped. Like, every time I go fishing, I don't get any trash. And I don't know why. Like, maybe it's because for the most part I use bait, but even other than that, like, when I go to, like, the ocean or the river or the ponds, what have you, and I start fishing, I always catch fish. Like, something happened and I'm no longer able to get trash. But I want to make things like the trash bags and everything to throw beside, like, a trash can to give it more of, like, a more, like, the in-depth kind of details. You know what I mean? And I've tried asking around, like, hey, does anyone have, like, trash? And no one else has trash on their island. I don't know what happened, but trash has gone extinct, and we need to bring back trash. Because I need it. And this is the tragic part where I start investing in making DIYs that I am determined to put inside the fence enclosure of the Nook store. And they just don't look good. They don't work out. They look super odd, and I don't know how to make them work. But I'm determined to put them in here somehow or incorporate them into some kind of like little space. And this is the part where I can't decide if I want to use a utility sink or if I want to keep the like garden faucet thing, because I'm like, man, which one of these things looks harder for my jailhouse looking Nook store here, you know what I mean? Like, the garden faucet kind of looks too soft. But utility sink, that's like, yeah, man. You definitely see that in like the jail kitchen or something, you know what I mean? They're cooking up, what is that, shit on a shingle or something like that, serving it to those inmates. So, you know, if any of you have been to jail or prison, and what am I doing with this bucket? Honestly, anywho, if any of you have been to jail or prison and want to give me some good Animal Crossing item ideas I can incorporate into this little area, it'd be greatly appreciated. We'd really like some insider perspective, you know, make it more accurate, make it a little more, you know, authentic. Like your advice and your input would be, you know, it would be greatly appreciated. Really helping the cause here. But right now, the real question is, what the actual fuck am I gonna do with this barrel that I made? I don't know why, but I was so like determined to use a freaking barrel that I made one. And now I'm having the dilemma of where am I gonna put it? Even with like the log bench thing, I'm like, man, this is it. This looks great. But then in practice versus planning, oof. Like, it looks great when you're going through the DIY cars, but then we really slap it down in the, you know, Salty Spittoon Nook store. Yeah, no, it's not happening. It's, you know, what's that? That soft cottagecore. Like, I'm in the woods. I just made some jam. Here's some weeds, a dirt path, living off the grid in my little cottage. And it does not work well with my may or may not have done time kind of story, you know what I'm saying? Like, we want it more so like, yeah, I may have stabbed someone in my lifetime, but I learned a whole bunch of like mechanic skills in jail, and now I'm a mechanic living under the radar kind of thing. And not so much, you know, I made a fruit jam and churned some butter today, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's not the crowd that we're trying to attract here. But you know where this stuff would look good? In this little area over here. We got like the decoy duck, we got the wooden stakes and everything. The only problem is that this area is a huge eyesore, and once again, I'm just throwing all of my flowers in this area because I have no idea where to put them. Definitely though, like, this is going to be the next video I put out. It's going to be me redoing this whole area because, bro, I don't want to have like an actual done store and then you come here and it's like, oh, there's like one nice thing, but everything surrounding it is like a mess, you know what I mean? And you know what's like super annoying? How like when you go to lay down like the pads and stuff like that, it isn't flush with the store. You know what I mean? Like, I hate that. Like, you can just see like that little line of grass around everything. And I was talking to my friend and they said, yeah, I think what you have to do is that you have to do all of the paving first, then put the building on top. And I'm like, man, what if I'm not committed to whatever, like, stone path, dirt path, whatever I put down there? I'm stuck with it. Unless I want to pay like another 50,000 bells to lift it up, put it somewhere, change everything, and then put it right back. Like, oh my gosh. Like, they need to do like an update where I can get nice and flush with the building. Because that little line of grass, not cute, you know? Alright, so this is the part where I have the genius idea of putting down like a destination sign, you know? give people some directions where to go. And the thing is effing huge. I was not expecting it to be that big and bulky when I put it down there on the path, but it is. And this is the part where I realize the absolute error in my ways, and that's not going to work out. But once again, you know where it would work out? In this little area over here. It's funny how, like, everything that got rejected from my initial idea with the storage just being thrown into this little area. I like it. Once it's holding true to its name as like the store. I mean, not the store, but like that room in the house where you throw all the shit that you don't need. You just keep it there, and it worked out in my favor because now it's made its own. It became a little area on its own. Also, I hate whenever I dig a hole to go dig up a flower, and I go to cover the hole, and I end up picking a goddamn flower. Ugh. Annoying. Kind of like what happened just now. Like, same thing if you're around a hole, and you go to put an item down, and you just so happen to be holding a shovel in your hand, they automatically think you want to bury that item. But no, bitch. I want the item to be displayed out in the open. I don't want to bury it. Who wants to bury things? Like, who does that anymore? Not in this new game. But, yeah, that bucket, though. That bucket has gotta go. It looks so bad, man. Ugh. Luckily, though, I'm definitely gonna be finding little items here and there to fill up that space. Get rid of that bucket. Make it more, you know, gas station looking. But, as you can see by pretty much the, barren wasteland that is my pockets, I am running out of items to put out. Oh man, yeah, see? That utility sink looks so good. Definitely more fitting for like that whole harder looking thing. Definitely that garden fountain was way too soft. Ugh, man. I definitely need to come back and add little things here and there that I collect along the way. But for the most part, I've pretty much run out of everything in my pockets. And it's gonna be the final product for now, the Nook store, guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.